is up, everybody? It is Friday, October 14th, 2016. This is Radio Tokyo. I'm Jonathan. I'm here. Nick's here. And holy Jesus, I want this election cycle to end. I I know we did like the show the other day about it, Nick, but god damn it, I want this shit to be over with. I'm tired of it. This is the long national nightmare we have all heard about. Oh, goddamn.
You know we could just, ignore it and talk about other things, right?
We could, but, to be honest, this political shit show is the gift that never fucking stops giving. I mean, it's just so amazing to be able to every day have some new shit come up that we can talk about every day, especially from Trump, because it's fucking insane. I don't know what is going on in the world anymore. I really don't.
I call it the effects of reality TV. Everyone thought reality TV was just stupid, harmless things. But look at what it's done to our country. Look at what it's done.
It's given us Donald Trump as a possible
Yeah?
president.
Yeah.
I mean, like, other than that, there's really not much else going on. I mean, goddamn, it's so inescapable. It is so inescapable when you think about it, because just he never stops, dude. He doesn't stop. I don't know what the deal is, but he never stops.
I mean, we could talk about the impending Cold War, or, uh, white people dancing and or rapping, or, Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg hosting a dinner party. I actually went to watch that.
You know what's terrifying about all of this?
What's that?
Like, everything you just mentioned, everything actually ties into Donald Trump's presidency or his campaign. Everything. It's like it. Okay, to make a World of Warcraft reference for those of you who play the game and understand this, Donald Trump is Yogg Saron and we're in Northrend.
Is this the dream that, just keeps going?
No, it's not. It's not the dream. It's just all of it is connected somehow. It doesn't stop, and it's scary.
I just want to be able to watch Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart make brownies. Is that so much to ask? I mean, it like I know they're gonna make weed jokes. I know they're gonna roast Justin Bieber. That's all I want. I don't think I'm being unreasonable here, am I?
Well, sadly, you are unreasonable. I mean, we're talking about Donald Trump, so yes, you are unreasonable.
It's not fair. It really isn't. It's just, or there, I could talk about, well, actually, no. This helps distract me from the sadness of the Nationals losing in baseball. Shut up, I like sports. Anyways, um, hmm. We could talk about how we killed the Boston Legion. That was cool.
We could, but I came across something earlier today, and it's on screen for those of you who are watching at home. No, I will not show you the top of the image, but yes, what you're seeing is a woman at a Trump rally, and she's written on her shirt with an arrow pointing at her vagina. Now this woman is middle aged, And yes, it says Trump can grab my and then an arrow pointing at between her legs. That's the world we're living in right now. I just want all of you to have this visual reminder. That's what we're living in. This is our hell right now. Like, if hell was ever going to be a real thing, this is it. People are doing this shit. This is like, and that's why I said that this is like Yogg Saron in World of Warcraft. It's everywhere. It never stops.
What if we actually have angered God somehow, and this is his punishment for us?
No, Nick, I don't
I,
think we've angered God. I think God is dead. I think God is just put, a gun to his temple and pulled the trigger, and we're just left here alone. We are alone in the universe forever now. God's dead. That, like, we
he abandoned
it's
us?
do it.
You're saying he abandoned us?
Yes, I think God has abandoned us now.
I mean, I can't really blame him if he did, because just look at what's happening. Can you
Exactly.
blame him?
No, Nietzsche was right. God is dead, and we killed him.
I kind of hope that he's still around somewhere, just, maybe making a better world. A world without Donald Trump.
Look. Here's the thing. I think that Trump by himself is fine. Oddly enough, I think he's fine by himself. Like, if you remove him from the context of the campaign and you just put him back on reality TV, sure, he's a terrible, terrible person, but you can always
Well,
change the channel.
no, you also have to remove him from the presence of all women.
That's what I'm saying. If he is on, like, TV, and he's doing his hateful shit on TV, like for example, he's doing the apprentice or whatever he's doing, you can you have the option to change the channel. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is such a wonderful, wonderful metaphor for the world right now. I would love to be able to not get or actually to get on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or watch the news and not have to see his face. I cannot change the channel anymore. It's there all the time for the next, I don't know what, two. We got 3 weeks of this shit left. So for the next 3 weeks, my channel changer is broken, and the store is out of batteries to replace it or whatever. We're fucked for 3 more weeks of this shit. 3 whole weeks. Okay. When he was just doing The Apprentice or his occasional news interviews, even when he embarrassed himself and embarrassed all of New York and talked about how his building was now the tallest one after the trade towers were destroyed in 9/11. You could always just change the channel, and now you can't. We're stuck with him.
And for this, I blame you.
I don't know why you'd blame me. It's not my fault.
It is. It's just, you encouraged him when you said he was better than Hillary. He listened to our show specifically, and you said that he was the better option between the two.
Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Um, that was before someone opened. No, let me put this in a better way. That was before he grabbed Pandora by her box.
That was actually funny. Uh, I give you props. I'm
Thank
clapping
you.
for you.
But yes, he just grabbed Pandora by the box, and now this
I mean,
this
I,
shit's
I, I
going on.
don't know how you didn't see that coming. I just don't know how people did not see that coming.
What, me saying the Pandora's box thing?
Yeah, Well, not only that, but him grabbing the box. Like, I just expected this. I fully expected it.
Well, see, look, okay, I know I said this. God damn, it had to been at least a year ago on some episode we did where we first talked about him. Probably back when the actual first debates were going on. And God damn, it seems so long ago. Anyway, I know that you and I both agreed that his campaign is a joke, and it is. It's a joke, but it's now the most unfunny joke in the world. I mean, it's like a white horse fell in the
Li-
mud. Past us. After
Literally
you
the world.
like
Literally the world.
after you have heard the joke "a white horse fell in the mud" being the dirtiest joke ever for your entire life, which I have. I have. I'm sorry, Mama. I love you, but you've told the joke too many times. Anyway, after you've heard that, it kind of loses all meaning, and all of this ridiculous asinine shit that he says has lost all meaning to me. I mean, I'm no longer even phased by it anymore, and I know uh, that it really only keeps getting worse. But like you said, you kind of expected this at some point. I was hoping for the best. I was hoping that people would realize, like for some reason, I was genuinely thinking that people would realize what a terrible, terrible option for leader of the free world this man would be, and I was wrong. I get proved more and more wrong every day, and it
You are
terrifies me.
foolishly naive. Foolishly naive.
I must be. I mean, goddamn. It's terrifying. Although I do take some solace in one small fact.
Which is,
Donald Trump has actually compared his political campaign to Citizen Kane. Now, if you have not seen this movie, which is nearly 100 years old at this point in time, this is going to be a spoiler for you. Uh, the main character of Citizen Kane, who's running, loses. He's beaten very badly by the much more experienced politician that he's been doing nothing but trashing the entire time the campaign was going on. So this is Donald Trump's vision of his campaign. He imagines himself as the main character in the movie, and he thinks he's going to win. So I guess we're trading a sadistic nut job who has easily earned comparisons to Hitler, uh, and said like I mean utterly fucking depraved shit, dude. Um, it seems to have been forgotten collectively in the wake of the 50 plus women who have come forward about his assaulting them. By the way, I want to go ahead and say this because it's very important that I say this about Donald Trump. Um, actually just women in general. Uh, Women don't come forward about being sexually assaulted because the reactions that we're all seeing to the 50 some odd women that Donald Trump has assaulted in the past 15 years, give or take, the reaction we're seeing to them is why. It's why they don't, you know, if they report it immediately, essentially they're told that they just regretted the activity. And if they wait, like most of these women did, well, they're just making it up. It's just being brought up for no reason, and it fucking blows my mind. I mean, just it's the strangest thing in the world to hear people say shit like that, and then in the same breath say that. And we talked about this the other day, but I'm sorry, Bill Clinton specifically deserves more punishment for what he did that was wrong and inappropriately with women. But when someone says it about Donald Trump, oh, it never happened. It never happened at all.
Are you gonna be okay?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think you would be.
I mean, look, seriously, I'm not really a big fan of comparing things to rape, but I think America's being raped by Donald Trump.
I've I feel like this is the ultimate example of white privilege, just just manifested in like I almost feel like he's doing it on purpose. Part of me genuinely wants to believe he's just doing these things on purpose.
See, 3 years ago, I would have told you the manifestation of white privilege would be something like, I don't know, a pumpkin spice latte. Oh, no, wait, it still is that manifestation because that's what Donald Trump is. He's a pumpkin spice latte. He is that terrible, terrible tasting beverage that only comes around once a year, but you remember it all the rest of the year because it left a terrible taste in your mouth. That's what he is. He's a pumpkin spice latte. And stupid, dumbass white girls like him. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I just whatever, fuck it. I just want this shit to be over. I'm almost to the point that because I know that Jill Stein and Gary Johnson have no fucking option, I'm almost to the point of giving up and saying I'm just gonna vote for Hillary and fuck it. I mean, because we're trading a lunatic for a uh, corporatist warmonger. Like that's our other option. I mean, we have someone who's going to destroy the economy because they don't know how it works, to someone who Russia is threatening to nuke us over. That's our options, America. That's our option.
And you know the saddest thing? We could have had a nice Bernie Sanders. We
Exactly.
really could have.
Exactly. We could
He
have
was
had Bernie
he was
Sanders.
right. Just being Bernie Sanders.
I think the most accurate representation of this election cycle is something I saw the other day. It said that Trump and Clinton are like two parents who are divorced fighting over custody of their child, and the kids just want to go live with their grandpa Bernie.
Yeah, I also saw that. That was it made me sad. It really did.
I miss that man. I wish he had not been fucked over by the corporatist warmonger like he was, but it happened, and I just we have got to be in a twilight zone, Nick. We have got to be in some kind of nightmarish twilight zone, and there doesn't seem to be any way out. Like, but the only solace is that I found is that I have been pissing my friends off left and right. Like, even a friend of mine, I've known her since we were in like high school, and she loves everything that I say on Facebook. Like, she loves my political posts. She thinks I have great insight. The other day, she finally told me, like, just please stop. Just I understand you're opinionated, but you need to let some of this shit go. And it kind of hurt my feelings for a minute or 2 minutes, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like,
Wait,
you know, the reality is,
wait. You have feelings?
yes, I do, but no, like the reality is that there are people who just like keep defending Trump or defending Hillary, and I'm like, no, no, here's a reason to dislike this, here's a reason to dislike that, but and every time it goes back to the same argument. Well, Donald Trump's a good businessman. He's going to help the economy. No, no, he won't. He declared bankruptcy 6 times. He couldn't sell steaks to the fattest people on the planet. No, he's bad. Well, surely Hillary's not any better. Well, Hillary does have 40 years experience in politics, and granted, most of the time it was responsible for people dying or for terrible things, but she does have political experience. I mean, fuck me, she was, like kicked off of the trial for Watergate. But you know, she's got some goddamn experience. At least she knows how Washington works because she personally greases the engines of the machine with the blood of the people from Benghazi. Goddamn, like just elect the bitch. Come on, you know what's gonna happen. She's going to win. The electoral college is already on her side. But the bonus out of all this, the absolute bonus out of all this shit, is everyone I see saying that I just think I'm not going to get you a goddamn thing for Christmas or your birthday. I'm saving so much money right now, I'm going to use it to buy a puppy.
I'm just enjoying this far too much. That's my only conclusion.
I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it because I realized, and I'm pretty sure I said this the other day too. The older I get, the more I realize I'm like George Carlin. Schadenfreude is a real thing for me. I love entropy. I love the fact that the universe is one day going to destroy itself, and I'm just sitting here for a few moments, just getting to enjoy just a few years of it. It makes me so happy. Like one day I'll be dead. I won't have to worry about this, and then all of the problems I ever encountered, all of this stupid bullshit one day will just burn. I love that. It makes me happy. It's all going to burn.
I feel like we need a Ragnaros quote just to pop in here.
No, because Ragnaros cannot pronounce the word shaman. He says like shaman.
Shaman.
Shaman or what? I don't know. I don't fucking know how he pronounces it.
Hey man, you gotta calm down, man. I feel like it's a Jamaican talking about shamans or something. Like, it's just the way he says it. It's hilarious. I can't get over it. It's just like, Shaman, I see you going over there, Shaman. Like, how does... I love you, Hudson, but how do you pronounce that so badly? That reminds me of how my order hole, they compliment me on my killing of Ragnaros constantly. It makes me happy. It makes me happy. I've also seen them compliment me on killing Archimond. I wonder if they compliment you on any of the other characters that you kill, or is it just specifically those two? Now I want to play Legion. Can we just play Legion instead of talking about friends? I just want to... I want to forget this horrible, horrible thing.
Anyway, speaking of the trailer, and I'm sure most of y'all just heard it because apparently it was being stupid. This is the trailer. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, so just enjoy Ragnaros mispronouncing words for a minute. And by the way, this is Thrall and Ragnaros speaking are both done by Chris Metzen. I miss Chris Metzen so much.
Yo.
You've been at this for days, Goel.
The elements remain silent, Agra. How can I help them if they won't speak to me?
You must rest. Everyone has their limits.
Look around you. This world is dying. I can't have limits.
When will you see that you cannot carry this burden alone?
Great spirits, please speak to me. Show me what I must do. Little shaman, and the Fire Lord has answered. You and your kind thought that the fires of doom had been quenched. But I will show you the truth.
Yeah, that's our election cycle right there.
Like, I just, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to
It is.
say.
Think about it. There, and I know it's weird to put this in terms of World of Warcraft, but it like Cataclysm was. God damn, I don't know why people defend Cataclysm. It was terrible, terrible, terrible expansion. I'm sorry, Blizzard. I love you. I mean, you had some good shit thrown in there. Firelands was actually a pretty goddamn decent raid, but just the story was boring. Deathwing was boring. Everything like Attraction was the best thing about Dragon Soul, But whatever, But like just the metaphor of like, for example, we're Thrall in this. Think about that. We're Thrall, and I
I
hate
don't want to
Thrall.
be Thrall. I
I
don't
don't want to
want
be
to
Thrall
be
either.
Thrall.
You know damn well that I hate Thrall, but we're Thrall in this. And
No, no.
and we're like, well, we just got to call for help, and we call for help, and Donald Trump is Ragnaros. He's answered this, and we're going to die. It's like everything is going to be ruined and whatever. I'm sick of this shit. I want it to be over with.
Like I said earlier, we have other things we can talk about. I mean, there are other possibilities for us to discuss things.
Can we talk about Ken Bone?
But that's still related to the Trump.
I know, but he's fluffy. He's fluffy. Look, okay, look, God damn it. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way right now. I don't give a shit about this man. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean that on a human, yeah, a human level. Um, I'm sure he's a nice person. I'm sure he's a wonderful person. I'm sure whatever. But for a human, God damn. Sorry. Anyway, um, apparently America.
Human.
Yeah, he's a human, or possibly a shaman. Anyway, god damn. Okay, uh, apparently America fell in love with Ken Bone, and I don't know what it is. I guess it's because he's, wearing a shirt and a white tie and a sweater, and
Well,
he
it
just
seems like any time. Wait, wasn't there that red shirt guy from BlizzCon?
yes there was, and see,
Maybe it's just anyone that wears red on a shirt, some sort of red shirt.
I don't know, but I mean, he seems like a nice person. And really, the only thing I got out of what he asked was the energy policy question. Question. I do words good. Anyway, he asked both candidates what they thought about the energy policy. It's a good question. It's a really good question. Past that, I didn't give a shit. I really didn't. I mean, like, it didn't affect me. But within an hour or so after the it's not even a goddamn debate. It was whatever the fuck shit show piece of goddamn trash it was. Anyway, just goddamn. Anyway, uh, it wasn't a debate. It was a shaman. There, it wasn't a debate. It was a shaman. I said it. Anyway, after it was all over with, apparently people were flipping the fuck out about Ken Bone. Who is he? Why is he so amazing? Da, 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 da. To the point that he's now gotten an invitation from Snoop Dogg to come smoke weed. He's been offered $100,000 to do porn. Uh, he,
What?
yeah, he's apparently such a nice person that that his grandmother follows him on Twitter twice. She has two separate accounts to follow him on Twitter.
Wow.
But he also did a Reddit AMA, and Fox News has picked this nonsense up. And you will never guess what Fox News is now doing in reference to Mr. Bone.
What's that?
Fox News is saying that he is some kind of bizarre fetishist because, for some reason, it matters to them that he thought his wife was beautiful when she was pregnant, or that or it was something. It was either that or pregnant women in general. I don't remember. I was too horrified by the whole thing that I was reading or watching. Rather, anyway, apparently he thinks at least his wife was beautiful when she was pregnant, and he's also had a vasectomy. So he stated something to the effect of that he now gets more pleasure from sex. So because he thinks his wife is beautiful, he thought his wife was beautiful when she was with a child, and he enjoys sex, he's a bizarre freak, and we need to be aware of him. Okay. Uh,
Um, did they just run out of things to cover and just
yes.
was like, screw it?
And look, see, here's the terrifying thing about this. They're getting a lot of a lot of use out of Ken Bone. Just those two things that he said was enough to make a 10-minute video about Ken Bone and how terrible he was. And compare that to just our not even actually talking about anything that Trump said or did. Just him in general. We just finished a half hour about him. We talked for 30 fucking minutes just about Trump in general.
Did they
There's
just
literally more things to
decide,
talk
or
about.
did they just have the problem of they didn't have anything else to cover regarding Trump, so they're just like, you know what? Kim Bone.
But there's so much else to talk about. That's like even you asked me initially, when we started the show, like, can we talk about something else? But we just did like half the goddamn show talking about Donald Trump. Oh,
Maybe their corporate bosses said stop talking about Trump.
speaking of Donald Trump, I just got a notification on my phone. 2 more women have accused him of harassment.
Hooray.
Look, God damn it. I just. Okay, here's the deal. If you want to call this a political ploy, that's fine. If you want to say it's all pretend, that's fine. All I'm going to say is that if you look at Bill Cosby or Richard Pryor or anyone else who's ever had accusations of abuse or assault or anything else levied at them, now granted Richard Pryor was Richard Pryor, and I don't know, but anyway, point being, anyone who's ever been accused of assaulting someone else, whether it's one time or a dozen times, it tends to be a repeated thing. It's like a child molester. Here in my hometown yesterday, these 3 people who had been abusing someone who was younger than 14 sexually, the police were apparently called to their house because there was gunfire. So they showed up, and there's this woman, and she's chained to a wall. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Anyway, she's handcuffed or something. Anyway, point being, right off the bat, she told the police that she had been sexually abusing a child and had been doing it repeatedly. It is a common occurrence that when someone molests someone or abuses them or rapes someone, they do it again. So if even one of these instances of Donald Trump having groped someone or kiss them or whatever, even if one of them is true, and one of them is true, that means all the rest of them have to be subjected to the same scrutiny. And by his own goddamn admission, he's talked about being able to do it. Now you can say, well, it's just locker room talk all you want to. No, it's not locker room talk. I've been in a locker room. I've never heard anyone discuss this, and if I ever did, I would kill them immediately. Yes, I would just murder someone who's talking about sexually assaulting someone openly like that. Now, the difference between this... Hang on, goddammit. The difference between this and locker room talk is, sure, a lot of people, especially men, have discussed women they find attractive. I've done it. Nick, I've done it. Like, I've said things to you about women I found attractive, and you've said the same thing back to me. I've even done it in the presence of other women. That would be locker room talk. But I've never openly discussed about having wanted to sexually assault someone while a microphone was on me while I was in a bus in Hollywood with a host of a TV show who became famous because he breaks all these scandals. There's the difference there. You can say it's locker room talk all you want to, but it's not. Billy Bush is an asshole, and he's friends with another asshole, and both assholes are complicit, whatever the word. I'm so pissed off right now that like they're both part of the shit show. So fuck them. I just want it to be over with.
See, I want people to understand that what locker room talk is, because I'm not sure they do sometimes. See, locker room talk would be something along the lines of, hey, that girl had a really nice ass. I'm gonna go get her number. And then the other guy's like, hell yeah, go get her number, dude. Lay that charm on. See, that would be locker room talk. Now notice a very important thing here. There's no talk about force, or, sexual abuse, or sexual assault, or... Did you hear any of those things there?
No, I did not at all.
I mean, it was a little crude, sure. I get that. But, it's not talking about forcing a woman to do something that they don't want to do. Because, yeah, that's really bad.
Okay, look, here's the thing, and we are going to move away from this, because this has been, like, 45 minutes talking about this nonsense. Anyway, if you ask a feminist, and I have, a lot of feminists believe that locker room talk is predatory behavior. No, it's not. Okay, most men who are heterosexual want to find a woman to sleep with because it's in our nature. Like the idea of dating someone or getting on Tinder and right swiping and hooking up. It's because it's a primal thing in us. We want to sleep with people. We want to form bonds with people and have relationships. And the number one thing to do that is typically how someone looks. We look at someone, oh, they're attractive. I kind of like what they got going on. I'm going to go after that. That's not predatory behavior. That's natural instinct. Predatory behavior is suggesting that because you're rich and famous, no woman will ever resist you, and you can do whatever you want to because they can't say no. And then you just walk up to someone and you grope them and you kiss them, and you're like, yep, you're mine. That's being a predator, okay? And Donald Trump has apparently done this 50 or more times now. I mean, back in May, the New York Times did an interview where they talked about it, and they interviewed 50 women he did it to, and now this week there's been like 10 more, so we're actually upwards of 60 women, just that have been found. And like I said earlier, if it happened one time, like if he legitimately did it one time, he's done it more than once. So have some fucking scrutiny here. We're gonna move the fuck on because I don't want to be
Wait,
angry
wait,
about
wait,
this
wait,
shit
wait,
anymore.
wait, wait, wait. I want to do an over-under game first. Over-under. 100 women come out saying that Donald Trump groped them or sexually assaulted them.
Do what now?
Would you bet that over 100 women will come out and say that Donald Trump has sexually assaulted or groped them?
I don't think it's really a betting thing. I mean, right, like I said, right now we're hovering around 60, so it's reasonable to assume it'll be more. I mean, it's just it's not like he hasn't been doing it for a long time now.
Like my question is, how high will the number go?
I'm I, I'm not even interested in questioning that, to be honest.
It's just such a horror show. It's just I don't know. I
Moving the
have to
fuck
try
on.
to find
Moving
something.
on. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. We're gonna talk about a movie trailer that was released today. Something that Nick apparently didn't even know was a thing.
I knew it was a thing. I just
No, you
didn't
didn't.
know what thing you were talking about.
No, you
Because
didn't.
there's
We're,
the
we're, we're
Power
talking, of course,
Rangers.
about Rogue One. Rogue One, a Star Wars story,
There's
which is apparently, according to Disney, the first story that has nothing to do with the actual trilogy. It's just a side story. And I call bullshit on this because
it's complete bullshit.
it is complete bullshit because there was an official story done, and it was the Clone Wars movie. That was an official story. Look that shit up. It actually happened. It's part of canon there. And the way you know it is because if you watch Star Wars Rebels on the Disney Channel, they have characters on there that were in the Clone Wars TV series. They directly fucking reference the Clone Wars TV series. Not surprisingly, because it's made by the exact same people. Hello, hello, knock, knock, knock. Are you awake in there? All this stuff is connected. The Clone Wars movie that George Lucas did, regarded as a failure amongst all Star Wars fans, was intended for children. I went to see it in the movie theater. I didn't like it. I hated it. And for the longest time, I would not watch the Clone Wars cartoon because of the movie. It was that bad to me. But I did finally go back and watch the series. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. Legitimately, hands down, one of the best things I've ever seen. Ever. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Like the first season is kind of iffy, but you have to watch through the whole thing because initially there was like you can tell that initially there was not going to be a central plot that would work its like that would thread its way through the entire series. It was just going to be individual episodes, and they were all going to be connected somehow, and you can see that. But you can also go back and watch the series. Now, of course, you have to plan this route to get the episodes in the correct order. But you can go back and see, when things happen, and you're able to actually watch episodes that directly connect and get the actual plot threads to make a consistent story. Basically, you have to do hatchet order with the series like you do with Star Wars movies and just cut out the stupid shit or whatever, like episode 1. Anyway, no. Episode 7, the one that just came out this past December is actually not episode 7. It is actually episode 8. Now, granted, like I said, the Clone Wars movie was not counted as an episode, but it is technically an episode because the movies are all titled as episodes. So this would essentially be episode 9. It is a story that takes place. We know it's after episode 3, but the Empire has been in existence for 18 years. So this is about a year before the first the Star Wars movie that came out in 1977. This is a year before that or so. I don't know at what point in time, uh, like the exact moment in time it is, But this is going to be essentially when the plans for the Death Star are stolen, and we find out how the Death Star works. We're going to see the okay, for example, if you watch Episode 3, at the very end of it, you see Darth Vader and Tarkin, the Emperor, on the bridge of a Star Destroyer, looking at the Death Star as it's being constructed. So between Episode 3 and Rogue One, you'll it's been constructed. The Star is constructed, so we're going to be seeing apparently the initial test of it. Like I said, final improvements on it, the initial test, and everything else. And canonically, this will be within a year of the original Star Wars movie. So that's the world we're in right now as far as Star Wars goes. But just for the record,
Well,
this is not the first.
not only that, but it seems like this is the birth of the rebellion too. This is the story of the birth of either they're going to actually show the birth of the rebellion or the time where the rebellion actually starts to become a force, which is itself a big
Technically,
deal.
the rebellion started just before Order 66, just before it. Like if you in fact if you go back and watch Episode 3, you do see this. Now, granted, there were scenes that were cut out of it, but you do see Padme talking to Mon Mothma and several others, and they organize essentially what was called it was the resistance. Basically, it was the resistance. Okay, and I don't mean the resistance from the Force Awakens. I mean an actual different resistance. Okay, but the resistance bided its time as the Empire grew and became more powerful, to the point where you see in this, yeah, they're essentially a military force that's been in existence, and they've been. I'm willing to bet you, because Star Wars Rebels also takes place around this time, and uh, okay, there's a character in this played by Forrest Whitaker who was in the Clone Wars series. He was one of the on-the-run rebels in season 4. Okay, so now he's grown up and now he's becoming part of the rebellion. So he's been a rebel. He's becoming part of the rebellion. There are characters in Star Wars Rebels, which is right around this particular time, like roughly soonish or after this or after this 1977 movie. So it's a weird thing, because by the time you get to the first movie, the rebellion's already been established for a while. But with what's in Episode 3, trying to put it together canonically, there's roughly a 17-18 year gap here. So the rebellion's been around, it's been a thing, but technically, I think you are right. I think with this movie, we are seeing the rebellion actually becoming an active military force. Like, actually, saying, hey, look, we're all these different groups. We all have this shit going on, and we're going to actually fight back and kill things.
Yeah, I mean, we can realistically, I mean, if you really, really want to be technical, you could even say all the way back to Episode 1 with the Trade Federation going against the Republic. You could say that was the start of rebellion in some manner or form. But when we think of the rebellion in Star Wars terms, we're usually thinking of in episodes 4 through 6. And this seems where it's a military force and as well as a political organization. And the only power that can even hope to challenge the might of the Empire. And this seems like the story of its birth, more or less, which is really exciting to me, and almost especially because it's based around Rogue One Squadron, and anyone who's read the extended universes or played the games, or Rogue One is possibly the most iconic thing about the Rebellion, besides, Luke Skywalker and Jedi. I mean, Rogue One is possibly my favorite thing about the Rebellion. I am really, really excited, well, because if they don't, that would be really sad.
Well, see, I'm figuring that it will be. Uh, I feel like Disney's going to do with this what they've done with Marvel Comics properties. They'll just make more and more shit. I mean, goddamn, we just had The Force Awakens this December. Just had it, and here it is a year later.
But
We're going to have Rogue
I
One.
I'm okay with that. I am fine with that. I am I am enjoying Marvel making more and more shit for the most part. There's been some things I haven't enjoyed or been disappointed in, but as of late, I've enjoyed them just pumping out things for me to watch and enjoy. I'm okay with this. As long as it's good and it's well done, I am more than fine with having movie after movie to see.
I don't think it's a terrible idea to do it, but I mean, okay, look, I'll be honest. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like it a lot. Yes, it's had its low points. Yes, it's had its high points. But at some point in time, goddamn, I get tired of it, and I don't want to be tired of Star Wars. Now, I don't mean that to say that I want there to be a 3 year wait between movies, or there to be uh, a 20-year span between parts of the story. I don't want that. I do want Star Wars movies because I like Star Wars, but I don't like the idea of there being one every year. To be honest, that seems a bit
I
much.
don't think that's too much. I don't think that's too fast. Now, if you were telling me they were pumping out Star Wars movies every 2 or 3 months, then okay, yeah, that might be too fast for me. Every 6 months, that might be too fast for me. But if you're telling me every year to 2 years, or it seems like every year right now, I'm fine with that. A year is a long time. A year is more than enough time for me to digest the Star Wars movie, enjoy it, and then move on to the next one.
Well, okay, look at it from my point of view. Okay, I like Star Wars. I always have. I like Star Trek better. I won't deny that, but I like Star Wars. I like it a lot. Okay, and the reason I'm against the movie every year type thing is at some point in time you you're gonna fuck up, and it's not gonna be later on. It's gonna be very very soon.
But
And
they
I
already
heck,
fucked up with, wait. They already fucked up with the prequels. And we waited how long for those?
no, I will. Okay, look, I'm gonna make an argument about this, and I I feel like I have to make this argument. Okay,
Episode 1.
no, the prequels
Episode
were
1.
decent movies. Okay,
No, they were not.
hang on, hang on,
No, they were
hang on,
not.
hang on. I have done nothing but trash them for years. But I'm gonna say this right now. The prequels were decent movies. Okay?
They
George
weren't.
Lucas just does not know how to tell a fucking story. Okay? He has all of the elements there that make it wonderful. The original movies, the ones that came out in 77, 80, and 83, are classics. There's nothing that can touch them. They're perfect, just the way they are. He tried to replicate that Like, he tried to replicate that exact same storyline in the prequel movies, and it failed miserably. The reason being, there was 20 years in there. It was no longer fresh material. He had spent all that time writing and writing and writing and adding things to it, but yet, if you look at the intrinsic goddamn story of it, it's perfect. It makes a wonderful arc. Remove episode
But
1,
the
and it's even better. But the way you can tell it's perfect is by watching it in hatchet order. Okay, that's where you take the 1977 movie, you watch that, you watch Empire Strikes Back. At the end of it, Vader does the reveal about he's Luke's father, and Luke's like, no, it's impossible. So then you watch Episode 2, and you watch Episode 3, then you watch Return of the Jedi. You have the completed story arc right there. Episode 2 and 3 becomes a flashback that explains the stilted dialogue and why everything looks like it is and all that bullshit about midichlorians. It becomes a legend. It becomes a memory. You see Darth Vader essentially remembering shit. And as we all know, when you remember things, there's always different embellishments. Like, older people always become stuffier and boring and everything like that. So you're seeing him as a child or a teenager becoming an adult. So he's remembering all of this shit. Okay?
this is
That's
the most
that hang on,
bullshit
goddammit.
argument
That
I've
that is
ever
the
heard.
beauty of the prequels. That is their sole purpose. It is to flesh out that story. The arc of Star Wars has always been about Darth Vader becoming a better person. He tried and he failed and he was miserable. And it turns out that the whole prophecy forecasted in the prequels was not actually him, it was his children. His children. So he has tried to live up to being a prophesied being. He cannot do it, but his son can. Okay? That's the whole story arc of Star Wars right there. Okay? That is a magic that cannot be captured again. It's like trying to remake Ghostbusters. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about the actresses or the actors in Ghostbusters or the writers, because like Dan Aykroyd also worked on this or whatever. Okay? The magic in
Actually,
Ghostbusters, hang on. The magic in Ghostbusters is the fact that it was there's no other way to replicate it. It was a one-time thing. You can't do that. You will never be able to completely recapture that. Look at Ghostbusters 2. Look at the new one. People were outraged about the new one and about Ghostbusters 2. Okay? And that's what leads me to The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens was, of course, part of George Lucas's legacy for Star Wars. He originally envisioned 9 movies. 9. Okay? We're currently 7 through that. So there's 2 more to completely finish his original story idea. Rogue One is also something that came out of that, like it's a side project from that. Shadows of the Empire and other things like that other authors wrote were eventually worked in by George Lucas. Okay, so all of this shit, if it's ever filmed and it's all over and done with, that will be the completed vision of George Lucas. Okay, and here's again, this is where Force Awakens come in. The Force Awakens is nothing but a nostalgia trip. It is an attempt to reclaim exactly what Star Wars was for people who are in our age group. People who saw it when we were kids, the magic of it when we were kids. If you look at it just as a standalone movie, it's got all of the same elements there that you see in typical story tropes, okay? You have a fallen character, you have someone who sacrifices themselves, you have a new hero, you have someone who's doofy. All of that stupid shit is there. All of it. All of it is there. And if you compare it to the original trilogy, the original story, you see all of this stuff. It's essentially the characters being reborn and put in new bodies, sometimes being gender switched. And it doesn't work for me. Okay? And I like The Force Awakens. I like everything about it. But that's my number one problem. It's attempting to recapture something that you cannot recapture. Okay? And if Disney fucking does that to Star Wars, I won't forgive them. I will not forgive Disney for this. If we're going to get Star Wars movies every year, at some point in time, they're going to not only hit the brick wall they've already hit with The Force Awakens, but just start bashing their head into it. And that's my genuine fear for Rogue One. I agree with you. Rogue One, like the Rogue Squadron storyline, is the single most defining thing of the rebellion. It is like it. That's what the rebellion is known for. Is Rogue Squadron? These fantastic pilots who can get in anywhere and do anything. That's what Rogue One is starting, and I don't want to be let down.
Now, I have a couple of points to make. Number one, that's the most bullshit argument I've ever heard about why the prequels were good. Using the excuse that it's a flashback, and that's why everything's so deadpan, and people are so boring. And no, no, I don't buy that for a second. You can do a flashback, and it can be cool and interesting and fun. But anyways, besides all of that, um, I get what you're saying about The Force Awakens, but I don't think The Force Awakens is necessarily meant for us as in the older generation of Star Wars fans. I mean, it is, but really, I think it's meant more for the newer audiences, like my
Now,
younger brother.
hang on a minute, hang on a minute.
He,
I
wait,
have,
wait,
no, I have to interrupt you. I have to. There's a reason that I have to because J.J. Abrams specifically said, this shit. Okay, it's intended for fans. It's intended for people who watched it. One of the first
yes,
interviews,
yes,
one of the
yes,
first
yes.
interviews he
Wait,
gave,
no, no, no,
one of the
wait,
first. Hang on.
wait, did I interrupt you? Did I interrupt you? Don't be
No,
Donald Trump.
but
Don't be Donald Trump.
I had to say this.
Don't be
I had to say it.
Donald Trump. Don't, wait, hold on. Hold your damn horses. Now, I mean that for in the case of people like my younger brother, or even some of my younger friends who haven't necessarily seen the original Star Wars. They saw the Star Wars in the 90s, sure, but they didn't see the original Star Wars. And we had to go back and watch those before we start the movie. But even with that, they didn't have necessarily the same feelings watching the original Star Wars that we did back when we watched it because of all the advancements in sci-fi movies and sci-fi stories. And pretty much the story of Star Wars has now been done many times over in a variety of forms. You could look at stuff like The Matrix and I don't know, Hunger Games, there's, lots of things. Um, but when they watched The Force Awakens, I could see and feel that excitement that I had when I watched the original Star Wars. They captured that magic. They did. It just wasn't for us. It was for the newer generation. Yes, they did make constant references and metaphors, and they put in lots of stuff for the older fans too. I get that. I'm not going to say they didn't do that. They obviously did. But it isn't meant for us. It's meant for a newer generation. And as much as we might be afraid or weary of that or hesitant or worried, because I am, don't get me wrong, I am worried. Just like I was worried with Dawn of Justice, and I'm still worried. Uh, or I was worried with Suicide Squad, which I still don't think lived up to my expectations. Not even close to my expectations, honestly. So I am worried because Rogue One is very precious to me. If they screw up Rogue One, they ruin potentially a major part of Star Wars lore. Because in the movies, uh, you primarily focus on the Empire. Even Clone Wars primarily focuses on the Empire. When you think of Star Wars, you primarily, for most people that aren't necessarily big fans of Star Wars, they focus on the Empire and the Jedi and the Sith. And they don't really think about the rebellion. It's only when you read, you go into the extended universe, the video games, things like that, that you really get into the rebellion in Rogue One. And the stories of Rogue One are just legendary and if not better than in a lot of ways the some of the movie stories or plot lines or stories about the Empire. Rogue like Rogue One Squad or the Rogue Squadron is like if I was in the Star Wars universe, I would want to be. I mean, sure, I'd want to be a Jedi, but really, I'd also want to be part of Rogue Squadron just as much, if not more, because just some of the things they do, some of their adventures, some of their storylines are just so amazing, so epic, where they have to infiltrate the Empire, fight the Empire, steal their ships, fly in the X-Wings, just all kinds of things. Break down the shields, break down the barriers. They are the head of the spear. And their stories are amazing, and they could potentially make lots and lots of great movies and great stories, and I'm hoping they do. And as long as they take time and care and put a lot of effort into this, I'm really hoping that they'll do well with it.
Okay,
Okay,
so
now you
what I was gonna say is one of the very first interviews that J.J. Abrams did after the movie was beginning to film. He addressed the fact that it was awesome for him to be directing a Star Wars movie because when he was younger, he grew up playing with toys of these people, and he was now given the opportunity to, like for example, Harrison Ford. He was being given the opportunity to actually direct Harrison Ford in a movie playing a character that he wanted to be as a child. This movie was his dream project. Okay? He's even quoted saying, I have thought about putting Jar Jar Binks' bones in the desert. Only 3 people will notice, but they'll love it. The movie was not made. The movie, now you can say, and I generally agree. There's a lot of reasons that it's intended for new users, but viewers. I'm sorry, but the reality is, this movie was made by people who grew up watching Star Wars to
yeah,
continue
no,
George Lucas's legacy because
yeah,
George Lucas handed over the reins of control of Star Wars and he was never ever able to finish it. In fact, he knew the reason we got the movies we did in the 70s and the 70s and 80s is because he could not technologically do the rest of it. That's
well,
why.
not only that,
The
but
Force Awakens,
wait,
and the one coming out soon to of the last 2 of the trilogy that will finish his 9 movies is to finish his original story. Force Awakens is part of George Lucas's story, but he gave up
but
creative control over it. Remember
wait.
that? Remember when
George
he did
Lucas
that?
was
He
never
sold it
able.
to Disney.
Hold on, hold on. George Lucas was never able to really create the story that he wanted. The reason that the original movies were so good was not necessarily because of George Lucas, but because of Steven Spielberg stepping in and fixing what was wrong with the movie. If you look at the original script of Star Wars, the original screenwriting of it, it was terrible. And everyone acknowledges that it was terrible. And it wasn't until Steven Spielberg stepped in and fixed it that we had Star Wars. And we can see that in the 90s movies because Steven Spielberg was not part of that. That was all George Lucas, and we can see the difference of what happened. George Lucas has an amazing universe and an amazing idea in Star Wars. However, he was never able to execute it properly, and that's why he sold it to Disney. And that's why he was upset when about The Force Awakens. Because and he was even upset about the original movies to a large degree because it wasn't his vision. It was a it, it, it was one of the few cases that I can think of where the movie studio actually stepping in and changing things actually helped and actually made things better. And um it he was just never able to recreate that magic because he was so worried about describing the political discourse and of just the trade federations and all of that stuff, and he wanted to put so much detail and make this universe come to life and be so detailed and so full that he lost sight of the central storyline in a lot of cases. There are so many things that you can cut out of episodes 1, 2, and 3 and still have a coherent storyline that really flows better and works better.
Which goes back to what I said.
Wait,
George
wait, wait, wait,
Lucas
wait,
is
wait, and
terrible
hold
at
on, wait,
writing
wait, hold
dialogue.
on. Wait. We talk about the nostalgia that they put into The Force Awakens, and but think about what they did with The Force Awakens. They took episodes 4 and 5, combined them into one movie, made it more coherent, made it better, made it flow better, and even had a more meaningful twist at the end that more people could relate to, as we discussed previously. Which is why we said that The Force Awakens is actually probably the best Star Wars movie that they've ever made, nostalgia put aside. If now that doesn't Now, what that leaves unproven is if they'll be able to make new ideas for Star Wars, because they've proven that they can capture the old magic to some extent. But that's only, like you said, it's only going to work for this one time. It's only going to work for The Force Awakens. So now, what we need to see in Rogue Squadron and what we need to see in Episode 8 is that they can make new things and new ideas and new concepts and bring that to life. Because if they can't, then, like you said, we're just going to have crappy movie after crappy movie, and it's going to make me very sad.
Which again goes back to what I said about George Lucas being terrible at writing dialogue. He's terrible at it. That's why all of his dialogue in the prequels is so stilted and boring. But if you look at it in hatchet order, which was figured out by the fans, the dialogue and shit makes sense. It's a memory.
Even still, it's still terrible.
Yes, I'm not saying that it's not terrible. I have not in point in time said it's not terrible. I'm saying that in the context of the overall story, they're good movies. They're better because they help complete the story he's trying to tell. This was George Lucas fucking with his own shit. That's what he did. It's his. And he's like, I'm George Lucas. This is mine. I'm gonna make the movies my way. And everyone was like, okay, George, go ahead and do it. Just take your frog looking self over there and make your own movies. Do it your own way. So he did it, and they were okay. And then it took the fans to do it right. It took the fans to fix that shit. Star Wars does not belong in the hands of studios. It belongs in the hands of fans. Because the fans are the one who created the expanded universe. The fans are the ones responsible for Clone Wars. The fans are responsible for Star Wars Rebels. The fans are responsible for the entire entity of Rogue Squadron Uh, Fans are responsible for Tales from Jabba's Palace. Fans are responsible for Shadows of the Empire. All of the games, the entire expanded universe. Even after Disney said it wasn't a thing, that's all on behalf of the fans. That's not George Lucas. George Lucas created the universe, but the fans are the ones that brought it to life. So saying that, well, this movie's for a future generation, sure, that's all fine and dandy. I'm not going to disagree with you there, but it's also for the fans. Force Awakens was a fan movie. It was a fan project. It was a fanboy project, rather, for J.J. Abrams. He put all that shit in there because the fans would see it and would love it. And yes, that's where my point comes in, and your point comes in. 8 and 9 have got to be good. They cannot depend on that anymore. That's not going to happen. They cannot depend on being able to have a moment where a brand new character walks up and holds out a lightsaber to Luke fucking Skywalker, and it brings grown adults to tears. Okay? That's not like that's already passed. That's over and done with. The nostalgia trip is over. It's ended, Willy Wonka. It's over with. It's done. It's gone. But it has to be something that can stand alone by itself. And Rogue One has got to do that. Rogue One has got to be the first step towards standing alone. If Rogue One terrible, is terrible, and we're going to be finding this out in about a few months. If it is genuinely bad and it's fucked up, then episode 8 and 9 will be fucked up and terrible. And that is my concern. That is my greatest concern, is that Disney has taken this beautiful franchise, the one that I am so proud to be a fan of, and is going to look at it and say, we're going to make this change, and we're going to start, and that's where it goes back to the MCU. I'm deathly afraid that Disney Studios will say, you know what, we're just going to make a movie all the time, and people will buy tickets to see it, and they're going to love it, and even the ones that they hate, they're still going to go see it because they want to know what's going to happen. And I'm deathly afraid that that's what's going to happen with this, is that
But
Disney's just going to keep
see,
making movies and making movies and making movies and making movies, and they're going to have some good moments, like, for example, the Captain America Civil War movie. Yes, it was a damn fine movie. It's the best of the Captain America movies, but when you look at it, it's kind of a B-roll version of an Avengers movie. And in that respect, it wasn't good. Like, it had a lot of issues with me. And I still love the movie.
I mean,
It's
well,
kind of like Dawn of Justice. You know, you had problems with DOJ. I had problem with it, but I still liked the movie. But in the but in the sense of everything else that's got to happen in the DC universe, Dawn of Justice has set a precedence. I will admit that it has set a huge precedence, and it's a low one. It's a very, very, very low one, and I feel bad for that. Like I genuinely wish, and this is the only time I'm ever going to say this, I genuinely wish that DC would have done the same thing that Marvel did, because Marvel gave their shit over to the fans a long time ago. And granted, we have had some stupid Marvel movies like the Fantastic Four, but still, we've had some really good ones. And the ones that Disney has been involved in have actually been fairly good. They really are. But DC never did
yeah.
that. And I'm
Well, see,
and I think that the same
let me make
hang
my
on,
point
the same hang on, damn
wait,
it, the same
okay,
situation is present with Star Wars, okay? But the only way that Disney can do this, because it's nothing but a cash cow for Disney right now, the only way that they can do this is to do for Star Wars what they've done to the MCU, and that's just make movies and make movies and make movies, and I just don't want that. I really don't. And this goes back to my love for the prequels again, for like the most important point I can make. Okay,
you're like the only person that loves the prequels in the world.
I'm not. If you ask around, okay. Here's the thing. I love the Clone Wars storyline. All right, I love everything dealing with the Clone Wars. All right, because for so long we had no idea what the Clone Wars were, but we find out it's the birth of the rebellion. It's the birth of the empire. It's a moment in time where machines, like millions of machines, were fighting millions of living beings, and all these clones are individuals, and on and on and on and on. It's so fantastic, and I generally challenge you, not just you, Nick, but everyone watching, to find a scene that has more impact in any Star Wars movie than the opening scene of Episode 3. And I'm talking about the one where you see the camera pan down over Coruscant, and there is a Venator class Star Destroyer just slowly moving, and that boom, 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 that drum beat in the back, like a heartbeat, like a giant's heart beating in your ears, and all of a sudden you hear fighters come in, the music starts, and they go along the surface, like the upper half of the Star Destroyer, and they come out in the spiral, and all of a sudden there's this fucking battle below them, and there's like it's layers upon layers upon layers of ships shooting, and Coruscant in the background, and it's insane. It's genuinely insane, and that is like that scene has stuck with me more than anything else, because when I think about a naval battle in Star Wars or in space in general, that's what I see in my head. I don't see stuff like for example, with Star Trek, with the Battle of Wolf 359, maybe the battle for Sector 001 in Star Trek First Contact, where you have ships flying in and shooting at a Borg cube. No, like I like what I see when I envision a naval battle in space is like full fucking 3D battles where ships are coming in and shooting broadside, but they're also shooting up and they're shooting down, because there's no there's you know infinite possibilities in space. That scene for me is more iconic than anything else in Star Wars. And that was out of George Lucas's mind. George Lucas had control of that scene. My favorite scene in any Star Wars movie is the opening to Episode 3, and that's all George Lucas. So yes, the prequels did have an impact on me. And in fact, you can carry it even further. There's a lot of people who said Episode 3 was the best of the George Lucas movies, and it was. It absolutely was. For example, think of, now granted, this is stupid dialogue, but think about when Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting on Mustafar, okay? They're fighting, and Anakin's sitting there like he's had his arms and legs cut off, and Obi-Wan's like, "You are my brother! You were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!" And the only thing that Anakin says is he looks up, even though his face is burned away and he's charred, he looks up and he just screams, "I hate you." That's George Lucas right there. That's George Lucas. George Lucas can, in certain moments, tell a wonderful story without having anyone else's influence, and that's where he shines. He has his moments. The problem with Lucas, and I'll stop talking after this and let you say whatever you want to say. But the problem with Lucas is that he's essentially trying to build a universe with his story, and like you said, bringing in the Trade Federation and the Senate and all that other bullshit. That's kind of like Tolkien was able to do for Lord of the Rings, or rather The Hobbit, because everything else was built off of The Hobbit. So he had the entire however God, I can't pronounce it without stammering. I'm sorry. All of that was built.
Similarly.
Thank you. All of that was built just off of the Hobbit storyline. Okay, so the original 1977 movie, which was all we were supposed to get, like it was supposed to be a standalone thing, he's like, "No, fuck it, I'm gonna write all this other shit," and he did, It's wonderful, and I'm glad that he did it. But like I said, that's where the prequels come in for me, and that's why they're important. That's why I like them so much, because just certain scenes like that mean a lot to certain people.
I mean, the prequels did have some really, really cool battles. I think my favorite battle from the prequels was in the Clone Wars, when you see or the Republic, the Republic fighting against the army, and you see Yoda come in and take command and start leading the clone troops. and it was just a really, really cool scene. And things like that were really great in the prequels. I'm not saying the prequels didn't have some cool moments. The fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin was definitely one of the best moments of the prequels, and one of the better moments of Star Wars in general. The problem is it's just weighed down with so many other things. But getting back to what I was gonna say earlier is Marvel. When I think of Marvel and Marvel movies, I generally, or at least now I do, I'm only really thinking of the Disney movies because Fox has done terrible with Fantastic Four consistently. It's kind of sad that the best Fantastic Four movie was actually the first one, which everyone hated. And now people actually kind of like it because the ones after were even worse. Um, the X-Men movies have been hit or miss for me. Um, and we know that Marvel's clearly trying to kill off X-Men because Fox won't give it back. So, I mean, take with that what you will. I enjoyed the first set of Spider-Man movies. I didn't really like the second set of Spider-Man movies. The next Spider-Man looks promising from what we've seen in Marvel's or Captain America Civil War. So I actually have good hopes for that one. We'll see though. Sony has been unreliable to say the least. Um, but what I was going to say is, yes, Marvel has been pumping movie after movie after movie out, but especially as of late, I have enjoyed almost all of their movies for the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now. I mean, Age of Ultron was probably the weakest one that I can think of. Um, their TV series have been liked and enjoyed by a lot of people. I certainly love the Daredevil um, Netflix series, even season 2, even though I know a lot of people hate that one. Now, Jessica Jones is something I do not like just because I think she's a terrible character and she annoys me. Um, but I've heard a lot of good things about Luke Cage. I still need to see it. But as of late, as of the past 2 or 3 years, Disney has seemed to capture the skills or whatever you want to call it of making a movie every year or two, or and making it work. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy was something I was not expecting to be great, and it was. I loved Ant-Man. I really didn't expect to love it, and I absolutely fell in love with Ant-Man. Paul Rudd is a national treasure, and we need to treasure him more.
Yes, he is.
Um, I was really worried about Captain America: The Civil War. It does have a few problems for me, but it far exceeded my expectations. It genuinely exceeded my expectations. Um, the 4 movies have been a little bit weak. The Hulk movies were weak. There's definitely a couple of misses in there, but overall, Disney has done an excellent job of just making movie after movie.
They have.
And I trust them with I trust them with Star Wars. I really do. After The Force Awakens, I trust them with Star Wars. I know that they still have a lot to prove and a lot to show, but from what I saw in The Force Awakens, it gave me some confidence in what Disney was doing. And I was, back when I heard that Disney bought Star Wars, I was genuinely worried. And I was not very trusting of Disney. I don't know if you remember back then, but I was very scared that they were going to screw Star Wars up. I was scared they were going to screw Marvel up, and I have become a Disney fan of sorts. Um, and it's kind of shocking to me now that I think about it, because I used to hate Disney.
I'm I don't outright hate Disney, but I'm I'm incredibly wary of what Disney says and what Disney does.
I just, I'm not as worried about. I'm still worried. There's still, like I said, Disney still has a lot to prove. They have to show that they can create something new. They have to show that they can keep the story going, keep it interesting, keep that magic going. They spent their nostalgia ticket on The Force Awakens, and it made sense to me for them to do that, to introduce a new audience to Star Wars and to bring old fans back. That was the time that you want to blow your nostalgia card. Um, but obviously they have a lot to prove still. But they have proven to me more so than WB has with their DC movies so far. I know that you still like Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, but I am really disappointed in them. And the bar is still very low to me. Now, I'm excited for Justice League from what I saw in the trailer. Justice League looks like the movie that I wanted them to do in the first place. It looks like what I was hoping for from them in the first place to a large degree. But I still need to see that actually play out and be what they're promising. But I don't get that sense of dread with Disney.
But maybe you should.
Maybe. Or, I mean, they haven't given me a reason not to trust them. Especially if the new Doctor Strange movie is good, which I really think it will be, then, I mean, if they can make me love these heroes that I've never really, I mean, I enjoyed them in the past in cartoons and comics and things, but I was never really a fan of them. But they made me an Ant-Man fan. They made me even more of a Captain America fan. They made me a Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I had no idea who the Guardians of the Galaxy were until the movie, and I'm a fan now. If they can pull that off, and I have confidence in them that they can, make good Star Wars movies. I really do.
I hope so, because if they don't, there's going to be a riot. But since we're talking about making good things, we're going to move on. We're just going to move on to a whole brand new topic because I have an announcement to make.
Dun dun dun.
Very important announcement. We at Radio Tokyo are going to be endorsing our very first political candidate as of today.
Whoa.
Like, I mean, an actual an actual endorsement, not just our standing our preference for a candidate. So starting
Who will
today,
it?
October 14th, 2016, Radio Tokyo hereby endorses Oswald Cobblepot for mayor of Gotham.
You think?
Yes,
Do tell why.
because he will make Gotham safe again.
Hmm. For some reason, I don't really like that saying.
Well, you should like the saying because think about it this way. This man has been essentially a criminal, and Gotham is full of criminal elements. So, what better to handle all of these criminals than a criminal?
For some reason, I don't think this will work.
I think it will work perfectly. So vote Oswald Cobblepot for mayor.
I'm going to disagree and say don't do that.
Vote for Cobblepot for mayor. Don't listen to Nick. He's wrong.
Wait, when have I actually been wrong on this show?
Numerous times.
Like,
Like saying that Oswald Cobblepot will not make Gotham safe again.
that's not an example.
Nick, just vote for Cobblepot. Goddamn, just come on. Like, I mean, in the past we had Mayor Aubrey James, and he was a loser, and then we had the other guy that beat James. And he turned out to be a killer, and we we need Oswald Cobblepot for mayor.
I mean, I guess if he's the only choice.
Would you rather have him, or would you rather have a man who had his head locked in a wooden box for 3 months?
I don't know. I really don't.
Well, see, it's
I
a good
mean,
thing that you don't have to worry about it, because okay. Also, the reason I'm bringing this up is season 3 of Gotham, of course, has started. So if you're not watching it, maybe you should. Um, Season 3 of Gotham is entitled Mad City, and I love it. It's like we're 3 episodes in. I love it. It's been really 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 good. And that's having one small thing that I'm iffy on, and that would be the Mad Hatter. The reason I'm iffy on this portrayal of the Mad Hatter is because, believe it or not, the Mad Hatter is one of my favorite Batman villains. Always has been, always will be. I've always liked his storyline. Now, granted, he's had a few different iterations over the years, and they're all a little different, but I like the idea of Mad Hatter, especially the way he was portrayed in the animated series, where he was uh, oriented towards Alice in Wonderland, which is kind of where he gets the name from. Let's be realistic here. Um, I'm kind of iffy on this version because the Alice he's pursuing is actually his sister, and there's a line in there that he's trying to make her have thoughts that no brother should ever have. I I'm a little iffy on that, but I'm enjoying Gotham again. It's wonderful. It's a great series. You should watch it.
you know, this kind of makes me think that this entire political campaign and run is just to create a movie in 3 or 4 years, or 10 years or so. Like,
It could be.
like something like Gotham.
It very well could be. But I mean, let's be honest here. Oswald Cobblepot running for mayor on Gotham, it's pretty much ripping off ideas from Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
kind
mean,
of blatantly ripping it off here.
They just saw an opportunity and decided, screw whatever story we originally had written. We're just gonna go with this.
But see, when you think about it, like when you actually think about it, is there does it really put in perspective yet how terrible this man will be for president when a comic book villain is able to rip him off and is as legitimately believable as a candidate as Trump is? Like does that at all ring a bell in society?
Maybe, maybe not. I have better, more fun news though.
What is that?
There is going to be a Justice League Power Rangers crossover comic book.
No,
I'm sorry, but it already is happening.
no,
Where the Black Ranger gets sucked into a portal and lands in the DC universe,
no,
and Batman tries to capture him.
no,
It's happening.
no. Like, can we just have the Power Rangers be a standalone thing? Because if you recall, they had it wasn't Beetleborg. It was
Ninja Turtles?
yeah, Ninja Turtles, but they also had Power Rangers be the vehicle for it was Kamen Rider in Japan, Masked Rider. That's what it was, Masked Rider. A completely different storyline, and they had the Power Ranger story where they go and rescue him, and then you never hear from him again, and then the Ninja Turtles are on there, and can we just not have the crossovers for Power Rangers
Nope,
anymore? Because
they're gonna cross over with the Justice League.
no, can we just not?
And there's gonna be a comic featuring one of the Power Rangers and one of the Justice League members. So there's gonna be 6 different comics.
So why is the African American Ranger being a criminal, Nick? Why, why is that?
Because justice.
Damn stereotypes, Nick. Stereotypes. That's Jesus.
So let me just here it is. Something terrible has happened in Angel Grove when Power Rangers Command Center is breached and the teleporters are damaged. Zack the Black Ranger is flung into an alternate universe full of citizens possessing outrageous powers and wearing strange costumes. Will Jason the Red Ranger, Trini the Yellow Ranger, Kimberly the Pink Ranger, Billy the Blue Ranger, and Tommy the Green Ranger be able to get Zack in time to save him from Batman?
Wow.
In addition to the standard
Wow.
covers drawn by Carl Kerschel, each issue will feature a variant cover drawn by one of the comic's most popular artists, pairing each member of the League with a different Power Ranger. So you get Batman and Pink Ranger together, Cyborg and Blue Ranger, The Flash and Black Ranger, Green Lantern John Stewart and the Yellow Ranger, Superman and the Green Ranger, and Wonder Woman and the Red Ranger.
That just doesn't seem exciting to me, Nick. I'm sorry.
And yeah, that's the good news we're gonna leave off.
Well, I was actually going to bring up the Power Rangers movie for a little bit so we could talk about it. But didn't want to do that.
I mean, I guess.
Because, the trailer for that did actually come out this week, too. Along with the
And it
very first teaser for, now see, the thing is, with the Power Rangers thing, it's like a 2.5 minute long trailer, whatever it is. So it's a full length trailer, but it was called a teaser. And then this week we also had an actual teaser from Planet of the Apes. So maybe Monday we'll talk about those.
Which I'm surprisingly excited for. I was surprised by the Power Rangers trailer. It was better than I thought it would be.
I have mixed emotions.
I guess we'll talk about it Monday.
We will. In fact, if you want to see them between now and Monday, they are posted to our Facebook page. So please go there, check it out. But since you're listening to us right now, please remember to like this video, comment on it, share it, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Like I said, go to our Facebook page and like it there. Please visit our Patreon. We are only asking for $1 donation. All of that money collected for our Patreon will actually go to making our show better. We have plenty of designs and ideas for what we'd like to do to make the show to help reach out to more people. So if you have an idea, contact us on Twitter. Or speaking of those ideas, go to our Twitch channel. Eventually, we will have things posted there. Possibly some actual gaming videos. I don't know. Actually, I'm thinking next week we will not be live streaming to YouTube, but we'll be live streaming to Twitch. I don't know. I haven't decided yet because our Twitch channel is a new thing, and we're trying to work that into our multi-platform outreach here.
We're trying to be fancy.
We're fancy. Speaking of fancy, just to go ahead and acknowledge it. Yes, I reached out to Loot Crate last night, waiting a response, but maybe, assuming Loot Crate, is favorable to us and they like us and they agree to work with us, maybe we will be able to give away a Loot Crate soon. That would be awesome, I think.
Then you could actually pay me. Whoa.
No. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this week, I think.
So tell me, how much would my raise be?
Nick, would you like to say goodbye?
Are you gonna give me a 1 cent
Nick,
raise?
would you like to say goodbye?
I mean, I'm just imagining us posting the Loot Crate boxes and, buying Loot Crate boxes and all the awesome
Nick, would
loot
you like
that
to
we'll
say
get in
goodbye?
the boxes. Do you see, Loot Crate, how awesome we would be at advertising your things? I mean, I really want to get a Loot Crate box now. It would be fun. But yeah, goodbye everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy, the endless hell that we're in. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.